It took 14,000 hours, 87 weeks, 611 days, 20 months, or almost 2 years to make one 6-minute short film. That film is our retro sci-fi short Midnight Television. With aesthetics inspired by the 80s and 90s, we tell the age-old tale about the dangers of living life for the algorithm. But why the hell did it take us so long to finish? Let's rewind. 2020 was set to be my best year ever. That was, of course, until COVID hit. Without client work, all of a sudden I had more time. And like a lot of us, I was lost, confused, and leaned in on the nostalgia of the good times from my childhood during the 80s and 90s. I felt that even though the outside world was falling apart around me, that this nostalgia kept me somehow protected, like some sort of coping mechanism that held on to the way that things were supposed to be, but never truly were. During the first shutdown, I listened to a lot of vaporwave. And I mean a lot. And after a few days, I was smacked in the face by my creative muse. So with no video production going on, I decided to start writing a feature film based on this world. I even applied for this Adobe grant I heard about because it was 2020. Why the hell not? And after a few weeks of writing, I learned that I had in fact been awarded the grant through the Adobe Creative Residency Community Fund, and I was able to bring my project to life. Thank you so much to the Adobe team for the support and resources to finish this project. So after finding out that we had some funds, my first call was to my best friend / director of photography / partner in crime, Alex Rodriguez. And of course, his first question was, how the hell are we going to pull this off? With a limited budget, a huge ambition, and a global pandemic at our heels, we had our work cut out for us. First, I had to turn this 90-page feature into a 7-minute short film. And that took some time. Then we created a shooting plan based on our primary location, but we also have numerous vignettes that take place through the TV. On paper, we are already out of budget, until an idea hit. What if we use an old TV technique of rear projection for the numerous TV locations and shoot them all in one day? That's when I called up Austin at Cypher Blue. It's a small studio in LA, but has everything that you need. I use it all the time and the owner is just amazing. At this point, it had been about 4 months since receiving the Adobe grant, and after a few virtual rehearsals with the talent, we were ready for our first day of production.
We're about to do our first shot of Midnight Television, and we are, excuse me, thank you for being very, very cautious.
For this production day, we decided to use Alex's Panasonic S1H camera and Titan tubes for all of the lights. Next, we used a large projector and a screen to create the backdrop for our various locations.
The one thing that I like seeing is what the set actually looks like when you're on it, but then seeing like what it looks like on the camera. It's insane. It looks so cool. Like we're actually sitting in front of some kind of a universe.
This is your first time actually seeing the beach. We'll take that moment where you can do the, pull your, yeah, exactly. I'm blown away by what we're getting out of this, of both the actors and the amount of locations that we're getting in one day.
With day 1 in the can, we could begin prepping for our second shoot day that was scheduled a few weeks later. The location was a standing set, but we needed props. Lots and lots of retro props.
After our first day, we had our next day scheduled a couple weeks later, and then the spike hit, and then we rescheduled for 2 weeks later, and then it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then we had it all set for right before Christmas. We were all going to come back and shoot here. It was all ready to go. And then I got COVID. My family and I got it. So it pushed back another couple months.
We used the 4-month downtime to edit the TV vignette scenes, created the previs test for PC, and put together the opening TV sequence and broadcast you commercial. Basically anything we could do to get ahead in these unknown times.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the day 2 filming location. They're setting up the lights right now, so I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of what it's gonna look like.
We decided to bring out the big guns and use the red Komodo to make sure this film looked as cinematic as possible. With an extremely small crew, lighting and set design took longer than expected, but it had to be done. This was our big filming day, and we needed it to be awesome.
Whoa, super retro.
That's actually one from 1989.
No shit.
And they're these special cans that they're controversial because if you stack them on top of each other, they spell S-E X.
Screens. Taking pictures of screens. Taking pictures of screens.
Looking good.
I don't know. COVID's been super weird, but I feel so grateful to like have an opportunity like this.
Great job. Thank you so much.
Having been done during COVID when a lot of other actors didn't get work or haven't been getting work, it's just nice to have something like this during this time.
This is probably like something I shouldn't ask, but you have any set time on when you're thinking like you'll have like an edit done on it?
Well, that's a great question, Jacob. With 70 effects shots, over 500 passes, and a 6K workflow, I had my work cut out for me. The initial story edit did not take too terribly long, but for every day that there was some sort of great story breakthrough, the next was filled with doubt. But I still pushed on with the edit. That is, of course, until real life kicked in. As COVID surged on, our priorities changed and we chose to sell our home. We moved to a new city, I had a serious health scare, and like the rest of us, we had to raise our kids among all of this chaos. So after the craziest 2 months of my life, I was finally able to jump back into the edit and finally start on the visual effects. This was all going great until the world of video production opened up again. My clients were ready to work and I was, thankfully, really busy again. And just like any endurance race, when the momentum stops, it's extremely difficult to get the pace going again. I was burnt out and creatively stuck. If my days were filled with client work and my nights with family, then when the hell was I going to get this project done? Mornings. The beautiful, quiet, email and people-free mornings. So every day I would wake up at 3 a.m. and edit until the kids were up, just focusing on finishing one graphic shot per day, brick by brick, until Midnight Television was finally complete. You see, this is the production triangle. There are 3 overarching elements to produce any product: cost, speed to market, and product quality. Or in our case, fast, cheap, and good. For instance, you could make something really fast and cheap, but it's probably not going to be very good. Or you could make something really good and fast, but it ain't going to be cheap. And as we did with Midnight Television, you can choose cheap and good, but it isn't going to be very fast to produce. Ultimately, I'm grateful for everyone who helped make this film happen. This experience let me build up a resiliency that carries over to my client work and let me unlock some editing and visual effects skills that I never had before. And if for some reason you haven't yet watched Midnight Television, you can do so by clicking the video here.